So, what are we gonna do tonight, O.C.G?
Why, same thing we try to do every night, but take over the world. I mean, Twitch. Take over Twitch. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Obsessive Compulsive Gaming. I am the Obsessive Compulsive Gamer, joined once again by my faithful manservant / bucktotem Bertram, and this is my review for CrossCode. Now, my friends, CrossCode was originally released in 2015 for the personal computer thing, but unless you are blind, a village idiot, or both, you will have noticed that I am reviewing the console version that released in 2020. CrossCode was the second worst thing to happen in 2020. I'm sure I don't have to tell you the first. That's right, I found my 30-second grey hair. So, what is a CrossCode? I can't say I was familiar with the term prior to playing this game, but I am familiar with cross-dressing, which I have never and never will do. Bertram, put that brazier down. Let's move on. The first thing you will notice when starting up the game is that CrossCode has a proper title screen RPG music. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, just start up the original Final Fantasy VII or 8 and you'll understand. Oh, it just occurs to me that I've never spoken about title screen music in a review of mine before. That's a first. Now, this story tells the tale of Shizuka Sakai, who must play inside an MMORPG to regain her memories. Oh yes, dear viewer, this is yet another game wherein the main character is suffering from amnesia. And no, that does not mean they are being stalked by hellish creatures in a castle. So, CrossCode is rather like Sword Art Online, just without the big-breasted heroines, or a lead protagonist that can't decide which one of these big-breasted heroines he would like to procreate with. You know, if this was a real MMO, you would be forced to associate with players online, and I would not approve of that at all, because, well, how do I say the word wanker more politely? But I guess I don't have to consider that, because CrossCode is not an actual online MMO. It's just pretending to be. Rather like Madonna pretends she can still sing, or like Cher pretends she doesn't pick up her pension on Wednesdays. As you can probably tell by the footage I'm showing you here, this is very much an old school RPG with an aesthetic from something like Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy VI, and mixed in with the combat from the early Zelda games. You know, it just occurs to me, dear viewer, that I have never spoken about Chrono Trigger in a review of mine before. That's a first. Now, being an old school RPG, CrossCode has a cast of characters that are completely mute. Music that sounds like it was literally scored on baby's first keyboard, and graphics so jagged you might actually cut your finger if you touch the screen. did I just say, Bertram? Don't touch the screen, you... Oh. Turns out they cannot cut your finger. That's a shame. Anyway, you can tell that this game is inspired by video games of the 1990s. Perhaps even inspired by the 1990s itself. There is a character in this game with dreadlocks. And as we all know, dreadlocks were invented for the Predator in the movie Predator, which was not a 90s film, but Predator 2 was. You know, it just occurs to me that I have never spoken about dreadlocks in a review of mine before. That's a first, and probably a last. So, on to the review part of this review. The combat is quite simple in this game, but let me tell you what is not simple. The puzzles. Every dungeon you traverse in this game is filled with puzzles. Shoot this button to move this platform, etc., etc. I would often find myself stuck in some of these dungeons for quite some time. Not because I found the puzzles too taxing. No. You see, my beautiful neighbor, Anastasia, has picked up this nasty habit of undressing in her room without closing the curtains first. So I would often find myself distracted. I mean, concerned for the young woman's safety. And this would often cause me to linger in dungeons far longer than I would have preferred. You know, I have recently procured a pair of binoculars. No, it's nothing to do with CrossCode. You see, it just allows me to check on my neighbor's safety more closely. So I can examine every curve, detail. What was I even talking about? Game review. Oh yes, the puzzles, yes. They're bloody hard. Moving on. In fact, the puzzles are so prevalent in this game, dear viewer, that I almost forgot I was playing an RPG. Like I've already hinted at, every single dungeon in this game is filled to the brim with the bloody things. Sometimes 10, 15 different puzzles in one dungeon. And there's at least 7, 8 dungeons in the game. If I wanted to do a puzzle, I'd do a crossword. Or pick up a Rubik's Cube. Or try and figure out the exact moment Michael Jackson went from man to mutant. As you can probably tell, I was not a fan of this game's reliance on puzzles. Does it ruin the game? For me, yes. I spent more of my time frustrated at this game than I did enjoying it. Kind of like the time I spent with my ex-wife. And anything that reminds me of my ex-wife cannot surely get a score above a 5 out of 10. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, my review for CrossCode. If you've enjoyed this little review of mine, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't enjoyed it so much, well then, feel free to give me a thumbs down. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, bell button thingy. Feel free to jump over to my Twitch channel. But remember the single most important thing I always tell you, dear viewer, and that is to always stay obsessed with gaming. Yes.